starting point with all of these things is going to go right back to basics, and the basic axiom here for us to consider is this one about once a highway, always a highway. And this was recently endorsed in a case called Smith and the Land Registry, 2009, where somebody tried to assert squatters' rights over a highway to justify an encroachment, and that was held to be a nonsense, and it was thrown out by Judge Pelling. And this is what the judge had to say: when a highway exists, the public has a right to use the whole of the width of the highway, and not just that part of it currently used to pass or repass. Mere disuse of the highway for any length of time cannot deprive the public of their right over it. So put this into a graphical form, as it were. Let's suppose that we had a highway that existed in the 17th and 18th century, before highways were had metal carriageways. Well, then what you would have is basically compacted earth with vehicles travelling thither and thither, and when it was raining, you'd have mud, glorious mud. So it could be quite a wide way. There are some ways anything up to 100 yards wide because of difficulty with terrain and whatever. Now that is the established width of the highway, historical highway. As I say, once a highway, always a highway. Now, if somebody comes along and decides to metal the way in question, well, the highway is not confined to the metal part of the way. It might be that traffic now start to pass and repass on the metal part of the way, but the fact of the matter is that the highway boundaries are still as they were historically. As I say, once a highway, always a highway. It might be that those boundary areas become overgrown and vegetated, in which case the highway boundary it still is as it was historically, but it might be that it has subtly merged into the landscape. Nonetheless, that's it. Now that does cause there is a slight twist to this, which is the unfenced ways. An unfenced way is normally presumed to consist of the way itself and not the adjacent embankments, etc., verges, etc. If one is faced with this, it's necessary to go back to basic principles and to start looking at historical documents to see if the unfenced way is or was wider than perhaps we originally anticipate on site inspection. So, as I say, the presumption is that that's a starting point. There are no hedges or fences or anything on this one. So the presumption would be that it's limited to the metalled way.